Okay, welcome to video 2. Let's get started. Okay, use the rational function to answer the following. So here, start with domain. So domain is all real values or all real numbers except for the excluded values. So let's go ahead and factor this. On top is still x plus 2. On bottom, we can factor a 3x out of both of these. So we get 3x times, it's going to be x plus 2. So we have excluded values of 0 and negative 2. So we'll do negative 2 and 0. So then we have, so our domain is going to be negative infinity to negative 2 union negative 2 to 0 union 0 to positive infinity. Next up are the wholes. So x plus 2 crosses out with x plus 2. So we should have a whole at negative 2, comma. So that's the x value, so we need the y value. So I plug in negative 2 everywhere there is x. My simplified version is 1 over 3x, or x can't be negative 2 or 0. So if I plug in a 2 here, I get 1 over 6, so 1/6. Next up are the x-intercepts. Well, when does 1 equal 0? Never, so there are no x-intercepts, because there are no x variables left on top. The vertical asymptote, so since negative 2 was a whole, the 0 should be a vertical asymptote. The horizontal asymptote, the degree on top is 1. So I have a degree 1 on top, the degree 2 on bottom. So if the, nearly off the frame there. If the degree on top is smaller than the degree on bottom, we'll have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. And then the y-intercept, so if I plug in 0 for the x value, it is actually an asymptote. So if I plug in x here, or plug in 0, I get 1 over 0, which is undefined. So there is no y-intercept, because at 0 there's an asymptote, so that will not work out. Okay, number 11. The domain, so first step, always factor it out. So I can factor out a t squared on top, and that would leave a t minus 2 here. And then I can factor this. What two numbers multiply to be 18, but add, or negative 18, but add to be positive 3? It's going to be x plus 6, or it should be t, sorry. T plus 6 times t minus 3. So then I have excluded values of negative 6 and positive 3. Okay, first our domain, all real numbers except for the excluded value. So we'll start at negative infinity, go all the way to negative 6, union negative 6 all the way to 3, union, and then 3 to infinity. The wholes, so let's see, does anything cancel out? Nothing here will cancel out, so we should have no holes in the graph. Our roots, which is, again, x-intercepts, roots, same thing. So when does the numerator equal 0? So t squared times t minus 2 equals 0. So it's either t squared equals 0, in case you forgot how to run these, or t minus 2 is equal to 0. So our roots here will be 0, and it has a multiplicity of 2. And then positive 2 are our two roots. Vertical asymptotes, well, since nothing canceled out to be wholes, both of these excluded values will be vertical asymptotes. So x equals -6 will be an asymptote, and x equals 3 will be an asymptote. Horizontal asymptote, well, the degree on top is 3 over a degree on bottom is 2. If the degree on top is bigger, then there is no horizontal asymptote. They will go to positive or negative infinity. And then finally we have the y-intercept. So I plug in a 0 for x. And if I plug in a 0 here, that gets 0 times all that. We'll just cancel that out to be 0. And then, so if there's a 0 on top, it doesn't matter what's on bottom. The y-intercept should be the origin at 0. Awesome. So now we have this part here. Use the graph to create the sine table. So from -infinity to -5. So let's see here. -5 appears to be right here. So we want this section there. And we can see on the graph that all the graph here is negative. So this should be negative. At -5, so at -5, it is an x-intercept, so that'll be 0. The next section here is, we'll go with green. And that goes from -5 to -2. So that looks like right there. And then we see where is that information, or that graph data, and that is all above the x-axis, so that'll be positive. At -2 appears to be a vertical asymptote, so that's going to be undefined. And then the next we have -2 to +5. So +5 is right here, and we want all this section here. And from here to there is all negative, all underneath the x-axis. At +5, it appears to be a or an x-intercept, so that'll be a 0. And then 5 to infinity, all that is above the x-axis, so that is going to be positive. And we will do this just to keep track of that section there. We can do the same thing for 13. So let's see here, from -infinity to -5. So -5 is right there. And we want that section here. All that is below the x-axis. So we'll say that is going to be negative. And then the next section is at -5 is an asymptote. So that'll be undefined. -5 to -2. So -5 to -2 is right here. So we want that little area there for that interval. And all of that is above the x-axis there, so that'll be a positive. -2 is a x-intercept, so that'll be 0. -2 to +2, so that's right here. That's another vertical asymptote. And all of that is negative underneath it. The vertical asymptote is undefined. And then finally, this last section is all above the x-axis, so we will say positive. Okay, that clears it for this page, and I'll see you guys in the next video.